Hi, and welcome to Chapter 3, Editing Objects. In this chapter, we will learn how to manipulate and modify the vertices, edges, and faces of an object. The first thing you need to know is that objects are comprised of sub-objects that you can also move around the 3D space. There are many types of objects you can create, and each has their own unique set of sub-objects. The example we're going to use is the polygon mesh. To begin, we'll create a cube mesh. Currently, we are in object mode. This means that we transform the object as a whole. To modify sub-objects, we need to enter Edit mode. Do this by clicking the Mode button and selecting Edit mode. You can toggle between the Object mode and Edit mode by pressing Tab. In Edit mode, you can start selecting sub-objects. You can choose which sub-object you want to select by choosing from one of these buttons. Click this button to select vertices. This button to select edges. And this button to select phases. You can shift select the buttons if you want to select more than one type of sub-object at the same time. Press Ctrl plus Tab while in Edit mode for a pop-up menu of the same options. Let us give our cube more divisions so we'll have more sub-objects to work with. Select all the faces and press the Subdivide button in the Tools shelf. In the operator, change the number of cuts to 4. Now we'll discuss the different ways of selecting sub-objects. First, deselect everything. Then, go to Face Selection if you're not already in it. To select a face, right-click on it. To select multiple faces, use Shift plus right-click. You can also use the Box Selection tool to select multiple sub-objects. If you press C, you will activate a brush which size you can adjust by scrolling the mouse wheel. This allows you to easily paint your selection. Right-click to exit this tool. Hold Ctrl and click and drag the left mouse button to activate lasso selection. To select entire loops of sub-objects, press Alt and right-click on a sub-object. You can also hold Shift and Alt plus right-click to select multiple loops. Let's go to Edge selection. You can select edge rings by Ctrl plus Alt plus right-click. Hold Shift to select multiple edge rings. Take note that all these concepts are applicable to each sub-object. For moving, rotating, and scaling sub-objects, the same rules which we covered in the previous chapter apply. You can use the transform manipulators or the keyboard shortcuts. A ready useful tool for selecting sub-objects is Soft Selection. You can activate it by clicking this button and choosing Enable, or by pressing O. You can change the amount of influence by scrolling the mouse wheel. This is especially useful for organic modeling. Now let's talk about modifying sub-objects. In Edit mode, the Tools shelf will display a collection of modeling tools. These tools allow you to do all sorts of modifications to your object. We are not going through all of them, but we will be discussing the more important ones. The most commonly used is the Extrude tool. Blender has two types of extrude, the Extrude region and the Extrude individual. The Extrude region tool extrudes a selection as a whole. Let us select a group of faces. Click on the Extrude region button or use its shortcut E. Left-click to confirm the extrude. After extruding, move a face around. Notice that they are connected. The Extrude Individual tool extrudes a selection separately. Select another group of faces and this time click on the Extrude Individual button. Now, if you move a face, it will not be connected with the rest. Select all the extruded faces. Click on the Pivot Center button and select Individual Origins. Scale the selection and notice how each face scales independently. Another way of extruding sub-objects is by holding Ctrl and left-clicking. This is especially useful for extruding vertices. Let us try this. Go to the front view and switch to orthographic. Select a vertex and extrude it a few times by Ctrl plus left clicking. Select another nearby vertex and extrude it the same number of times you did the first. Now select two parallel edges of the newly created line and press F. Notice that a new face is created. This is another useful modeling tool called Create Face. To delete subobjects, make a selection and press X, then choose from the list the type you wish to delete. A useful application of the Create Face tool is to cover up holes. For example, let's delete this face. Select the edges around and press F. Now let's talk about the Loop Cut and Slide tool. What this tool does is it cuts faces and creates new edge loops. Click its button in the tool shelf or press Ctrl plus R. If you hover on an edge, it will show you where the new edge loop will be placed. Left-click to add the new edge loop. If you left-click and drag, you can move the new edge loop freely. You can increase the number of edge loops by scrolling the mouse wheel while hovering. Another essential modeling tool is a knife. This tool allows you to freely cut faces to make new edges and divisions. The shortcut for this is K. Activate the knife tool. If you hover on an edge, it will highlight that edge to indicate that you can begin cutting from there. If you hover on a vertex, it will snap to that vertex. Proceed to make your desired cuts. Then, press Enter on your keyboard to apply it. Now we'll discuss the Merge tool. Select these faces and click on the Merge tool button or press Alt plus M on your keyboard. Merge at Center will merge the selection on a common midpoint. Merge at Cursor will merge the selection to where the cursor currently is. And Merge Collapse will merge each subobject of the selection independently. Next, we have the Repeat Last function. This is easy enough to understand as it does exactly what the button says. So let's extrude this face, for example. Select other faces and click the Repeat Last Action button. This will extrude the other faces with the exact same amount you extruded the first one. This is useful when you need to keep repeating the same modification to a lot of objects or subobjects. Lastly, do explore and experiment with all of Blender's modeling tools. This ends Chapter 3, Editing Objects. Thank you and see you in the next chapter.